Hey there, and welcome back to the Rock and Realty podcast, your ultimate backstage pass to mastering every step of your real estate buying, selling, or investing journey. I'm your host, Teresa Gabriele, local realtor, music lover, and your go-to guide for small town living, downsizing, and starting fresh, whether it's Orangeville, Dufferin County, or the surrounding area. Each week, I break down a part of the real estate transaction and sit down with the key experts you will need, giving you the confidence and clarity to make those all-important real estate decisions. And just like a great rock show, you can expect a little energy, a few surprises, and maybe even an occasional guitar solo to keep things fun. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. Let's get into it. On today's podcast, I sit down with Lisa Jackson, the force behind Downsizing Diva, Dufferin Caledon. Lisa turned a personal family experience into her purpose, helping others navigate the emotional and practical journey of downsizing. In this episode, we look at the emotional weight of letting go during downsizing, different types of downsizing support available, and Lisa shares some great stories that you won't want to miss. If you're planning a move or craving the simpler life, this episode may give you the clarity that you need to help you move forward. Let's get into it. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today, this all-important topic of downsizing. I encourage the audience to stick around to the end. You're not going to want to miss the before and after pictures that Lisa has shared with me today. So Lisa, again, thank you so much for coming today and joining the podcast. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in this line of work.
Thanks, Teresa. Thank you for having me. Well, after spending 25 years in the high-tech industry, I realized I needed to find another path, another career. So after my brother passed away unexpectedly and I took care of his estate, I was responsible for managing his affairs. He lived about 4 hours away, so it was a very difficult and eye-opening experience. At that time, a friend to me said, "Have you ever heard of Downsizing Diva?" So unfortunately, they did not have a franchise in Kingston, but I continued to look into the company and I was very impressed with the services that they offered. I reached out to see if I could volunteer, and that eventually led to a conversation with the owner of the time of the franchise, and she was looking to retire. So the timing felt right and I decided to take over the business, and I've been running it for just over 4 years now.
That's amazing. What inspired you? Was it that experience that you had with your brother, or was it something else?
It was that experience. It was the realization that my brother wasn't a senior. He was much older than myself, but help was needed and the help wasn't there. It wasn't readily available for somebody who needs it. And as I looked into Downsizing Diva, I saw that, reading statistics about the population of seniors right now keeps growing and it's extremely high. And their services and, everything from healthcare to the services that are needed for them keep getting taken away. And they need our help right now. They built our country.
Amazing. Lisa, who typically reaches out to you first? Is it the homeowner, a family member, a realtor?
I would say at least half the time it's the homeowner who reaches out to me directly first. If that individual has lived in their home for several years, the idea of moving can be extremely overwhelming. In some cases, the move has been delayed for years, and now the situation's become urgent, and it prompts a need to relocate as quickly as possible. Frequently call because they see the client most of the time first, and they realize that their client needs assistance in preparing the home for the market. This could involve decluttering, removing excess items from rooms, getting the house ready, clearing off all the countertops, and doing some light staging. And you want to ensure that the property presents well and it's ready for listing in the shortest period of time. it's you don't have time necessarily to do that, so you call us and we meet with your client, and hopefully we're able to help. And of course, family members and friends, they often reach out as well. It's usually because the homeowner has called them first to enlist their help, but due to time constraints and their commitments, they're unable to manage the process all by themselves, and in those cases they call me for some professional support.
In our initial conversations, you talked about 3 main events for downsizing. Can you take us through each of them and a little bit of an explanation for each?
Yeah, so there is estate clearouts. I mean, unfortunately, it happens. It's inevitable. And it's an emotional and challenging time for families. And having to sort through your loved one's belongings can be overwhelming. In many cases, the family members no longer live close, and that adds another layer of stress. So our role is to step in and make this part of the process as seamless and stress-free as possible for them. Once the family has identified the items that they wish to keep, they've taken all the personal documents that they may need, we provide the options for how to manage the remaining contents. And then we carry out the option that they have chosen. The process typically begins with selling items that are sorting for items that could be for sale, for donation or disposal. And whenever possible, I try to sell items for the client because that brings money back into their pocket and it helps offset the expenses that are associated with the estate transition. And then there's people who are just wanting to downsize and prepare their home for sale. And we love to do this. We love to prepare homes for sale. It's fun. And it's the perfect opportunity for the client to maybe purge, downsize their belongings, especially if they're moving to a smaller space. If there's no room for the dining room suite, the items in the garage, or the tool room, then we can help sell or donate them. And I provide options depending on the items. And then the third one is one of my personal favorites. It's called a wow session. So these are also popular with realtors and with people who just have limited time to spend on organizing their home. We come in, we spend 3 hours to work on whatever. That's what the WOW stands for. And it may be helping you prepare for a move. So maybe we're coming in to declutter the home a little bit. We are decluttering the kitchen or the office or the china cabinet. The items that you wish to donate, we bring with us. We take them and we drop them off at a secondhand store. If we end up with a couple of bags of garbage, we also take those with us. So it's nice because we're there for 3 hours. We're executing your decision on what you want to do. And then we're not leaving you with the items that you wish to donate. We're actually removing them from the house. So
wow,
it really gives a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. WOW sessions are the price of doing these for 3 hours is $299, and it includes all the supplies. It includes a detailed phone call or a Zoom call to properly prepare and plan the session.
Wow, that's really comprehensive.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned in our pre-call that you have a team of people that you work with or that you employ.
Yes,
That's
I have 4
amazing.
employees. Yeah.
That's amazing. So they come through and they help you on every job, depending on the size of the job.
Depending on the size of the job. Yeah, I mean,
Amazing.
a lot of times we don't have to have more than 2 people working on a project because the ladies who work for me, with me, they've been doing it for about 10 years. So they're very well rehearsed on every possible type of project. So they get in there and they just boom, 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 go right
That's
to work.
amazing. So obviously downsizing can be an emotional process, especially when you're looking at potentially estate clearouts. What are some of the most common emotional barriers people face when downsizing?
It is letting go of items that they have had for a long time. When you live in a house for many years, you often accumulate a variety of items that fill every drawer, every cupboard, every closet, letting go of these belongings, especially the ones that have been cherished for a long time. It can be a difficult process. The most challenging ones are items that were inherited. So it's by a grandmother or a great grandmother, the silverware, the candlestick holders. There's always doll collections, porcelain doll collections. There's Royal Daltons. And one of the most difficult ones is family photos. So the black and white, the really old photos of the family and the family tree. It's hard for people to let those go. But when you're moving into a smaller space, deciding between practicality and emotional attachment, it's a tough decision. And we assist by offering suggestions on how to repurpose certain items. Everybody loves their dining room suite to have one. Letting that go is difficult. So I've suggested, and it's worked many times, is to keep the buffet portion of the buffet and hutch and use that as their TV stand. And then that also provides some extra storage, especially if they're moving into a smaller space. And as well as the china. If they love their china pattern, use it every day. So, it gets to a point where why not? Even if it's not dishwasher safe, use it every day if you like it, put it in the dishwasher, otherwise it's going to be donated. It's, unfortunately the rate of return on china these days isn't great. So it's a good idea to use it every day.
So funny when you mentioned the dining room set. When my parents downsized from their 3,000 square foot home into their 1,700 square foot home condo, we went through a very similar experience. And my mom was, take this, take that. And we're like, I don't know where to put it. And, all the memories that were rolled up in that dining room set, all the Sunday meals and things like that. It's very sentimental, very emotional to let go of those things. So your job is like, really kind of angels at work to be able to walk people through that. So very good. Lisa, are there any myths or misconceptions about downsizing?
I hear often, we're just going to throw everything away. It's cheaper. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's the kids of the seniors because they don't want anything and they think it's cheaper to throw everything away. So first of all, it breaks my heart to hear that because your parents have spent years collecting these items, paying for these items, enjoying these items, and they would be heartbroken if all of it was just thrown away. And just because you don't want it doesn't mean somebody else doesn't want it or somebody else doesn't need it. And quite frankly, it's not always cheaper. So if you think about a whole house worth of contents from furniture to china, if you are intending to throw all of that into a disposal bin, it's going to take several disposal bins at $800 a pop.
Right.
That gets expensive really quick.
It does.
Plus gathering everybody in the family on the same day or weekend to load the bins. That's not going to happen. So once you kind of explain this to people and even write it down, write the numbers down for people so they can actually see it. Sometimes they understand, donating, of course, it has a cost to it, especially with furniture. People have to come and pick it up and deliver it. But the cost most of the time is much lower. And you're helping other people who need it.
Yeah, that's amazing. When someone contacts you, what's the typical first step?
The first step in our process is to schedule a consultation in your home. This allows me to assess the items that you wish to move or assess the areas that you wish to work in if it's just a downsizing project. And based on the assessment, I prepare a detailed plan and I provide an estimate for the work that would be involved. Once that plan and estimate is approved, then we move ahead and schedule days for begin.
So Lisa, this is a tough question for me to ask because I've gone through this experience. How do you help people go through decades and decades of history and belongings and memories? And how do you do that? Like, I mean, it's got to be really hard to,
hard.
Empathize and kind of see them go through that emotional roller coaster. How do you do that?
It's a lot of patience, really. It's patience, but you're right. It's empathy. It's do genuinely feel for them having to make all these decisions on top of having to move, on top of having me, a stranger in there, helping them. We develop a relationship fast. I try to make them feel comfortable with me as quickly as possible. That helps. I always suggest to look at items in 3 ways. They want to keep it, so it's non-negotiable, it's moving with you. There are going to be items for donate or sell, so you don't want them, but maybe they have some value to them where we can try to sell them. And there's going to always be a maybe pile. So I don't expect people on our first day together to have a yes or a no answer to things. There's always going to be some things that they say, you know what, I love it. And if it fits in my new space, then I would like to have it. But if it doesn't, I'm okay with letting it go. So we mark those things. And then we move on to items that could be a little bit more difficult. So I get their feet wet with the easy ones, the yes, no's, and the maybes of items that don't have a lot of value. And now that I've gained your confidence a little bit, and you understand the process a little bit more. Now we move on to the china, the crystal, the silverware, the doll collection, whatever the case may be. And they're a little bit harder to part with, but most people are okay with donating items if I can give them a specific place that they're going. So if I can say, you know what, I know somebody who collects porcelain dolls. Would it be okay if I gave them a call and see if they were interested in taking one or two or all of them? And a lot of the time they're okay with that. They're happy that it's going to somebody else who's going to love and appreciate what they have.
It sounds like such a patient job that you have, because I can again imagine how overwhelming it might be for some people, especially elderly or children that have just lost their family members, to go through these memories. How do you handle that? How do you help them through those overwhelming moments?
Well, it's patience is having answers for them. So they're stressed, they're grieving. You have to have an answer. You have to have time to be able to give them. It's not a job where every project is the same. Everybody's situation is the same. Everybody's grieving process is the same. You have to adapt. You have to adapt to each client, each family. A lot of times there are family involved in the project as well as the senior client. So you need to adapt, and you need to come up with a solution to the problems that they have.
That's amazing. So what tips do you have for those that are thinking about downsizing or getting ready to move into a smaller home?
Start small. So don't think, okay, I'm just going to downsize the garage. I'm going to clear out the basement. You're going to feel defeated very fast, and it's not fair. Nobody can take on unless you have the drive and the experience, and you are very much a black and white person and can make quick decisions. Start with something small, like the junk drawer in your kitchen. Empty everything out and only put back in what you intend to keep or use. Work on your wardrobe. Anything that you haven't worn in a couple of years, it's time to consider donating those items. And after you start small and you accomplish smaller areas, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You want to move on to bigger areas.
Are there systems or checklists that you provide to your clients?
I do provide them. There's not a standard checklist. I tailor each one towards the specific needs of my client. Each situation is unique, and I ensure that the process is customized accordingly. Over the years, I of course have developed my own comprehensive list of resources. So it includes auction houses, thrift stores, antique dealers, stamp collectors, coin collectors, and on and on.
Awesome.
So once a client has decided to donate or sell an item, I know exactly who to contact and I can initiate that process right away.
It's amazing. And that answers my next question around, the partnerships and, junk removal companies, moving companies. You have relationships with those type of areas as well?
Yes. So
That's amazing.
it's important to develop network and develop those relationships. So I do work with a couple of junk removal companies and they can be there within the hour. They're respectful. They are, they're always on time. They do what they say they're going to do. Their quote is exactly, or you pay exactly what they've quoted. And same with the movers. I have a couple of preferred movers that I always use, and they know how I work. They enjoy working with us because they know that when they arrive on move day, everything's going to be packed. Everything's going to be in a sealed box, and everything is marked and identified that goes on the truck. So there's no thinking to them. They just have to go in, bring the boxes and the furniture in the truck, and everything is good.
That's such a great bonus to have those relationships already in place. I really appreciate businesses that have connections already. So it's just an easy decision for customers and clients sometimes to be able to say, yes, we'll go with Downsizing Diva because she's got this covered, this covered, this covered. Or we'll go with Teresa because she knows all the people that have worked for her in the past and done really great jobs. So it's really such a value. And I can't emphasize this to the audience enough, to go with businesses that have really great relationships with other businesses.
Yes.
You might get a discount, you might get a deal for working with a number of businesses together, and you know the quality of the work once you start dealing with one of those businesses. So really, really fantastic to hear that you've been able to build those relationships. And it's also a testament to your own personality and the wantingness to build those collaborations. So really, really fantastic.
Thank you.
Can you share a memorable story?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. It's every project is a success story. But there is one fella who both of his parents passed away. He lived at least 2 hours away from his parents' home, and he had to empty the home and prepare that home for the market. So I want to say this politely as possible. His mom was a shopper. Her and her husband were extensive travelers. So there was many items brought back from their vacations. She loved shopping online. She loved thrift shopping. She loved garage sale shopping. So
lots in that house then, right?
Yes. So every wall was covered. I don't mean just a couple of pictures on the wall. It was from ceiling to floor. She managed, and it was a clean house, and it looked like a store. It looked like you were walking through a store. So it took us about 2 months. It took 3 auctions to be able to sell the contents of the home. We managed to sell 95% of the items in the home. So when you are working with an auction, everything is online, and when the people when they win the item that they're bidding on, they come to the house to pick up the item. So things are removed from your house all in one day. It's gone. So he was absolutely thrilled. And even though this job had a price tag on it, the total proceeds from the auction exceeded his expenses. So he made money off of everything that we did for him, clearing out the house, cleaning the house. He was thrilled with the outcome.
That's amazing. What a great example. I want us to think about an example where maybe there was a lot of reluctance around downsizing. And how did you handle that situation? They know they need to do it, but there is so much reluctance behind it.
Yeah. There's always, the first day, the first couple of days is some initial reluctance to let things go. I worked with a lady who was very forthcoming and saying, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm moving from a 2,500 square foot home to a 760 square foot suite. at a
That's
retirement home. So
a change.
I need to downsize. She realized it. So we began working together, and I'm going to say after the third or fourth day, I started to recognize a pattern that she still hasn't said no to anything. She still hasn't let go of anything. Everything was still very much a yes.
Oh, wow.
So I brought out the floor plan of her new place, and I just gently said, let me know where you want this to go. Every time she said she wanted to keep something, I said, let me know, point out on this floor plan where you would like me to put that, and that will make move day a lot easier. So he began to realize that she was bringing too much stuff, and I said, you know what, look, let's look at it this way. Give me the chance to create a floor plan for you that I think is going to best suit you. I'm going to bring the things that are most important, but I'm also going to create a home for you. So she allowed that to happen. And we were lucky because it was an instance where we could move her into the retirement home, and her home was still going to be furnished for staging for the home sale. So I said to her, if there's anything that you're missing, I simply go back to your house, I get it, and I bring it to you. It's as simple as that. So we did. We moved her in we chose the floor plan, we chose the items, and she moved in, and she was very happy, reluctant still, a little hesitant. But she got so involved in the community of the retirement home, joining their activities, making friends, that she knew she didn't have time to have her big selection of craft supplies or her sewing machine. She wasn't in her room very often. So she didn't miss it. And it ended up, she was quite thrilled with how it looked.
That sounds great. And it sounds like the collaboration with the realtor is really important as well. Tell me a little bit about what working with a realtor that understands the importance of downsizing looks like. What are some key important takeaways from that kind of collaboration?
Well, we're working as a team, and we're both focused on getting the best result for our client. So when the client knows that there's a team behind them, they feel that they can relax a little bit, knowing that their home is going to be showcased in the best way possible. So it's more of a collaboration that makes the whole process a little bit smoother, and it's handled with care.
I could even see, going into a client's house and them maybe not needing the full services, even just the wow service.
Yeah.
And adding that as part of my portfolio as a service to them, and part of, the work that we do as realtors. So that's really cool. Thank you for that. What would you say to a client that feels ashamed or apprehensive about having to downsize before listing their home? How do you walk them through, sometimes them feeling ashamed of the state of their home?
Well, you know what? We all have more stuff than what we need. We don't judge. And really what matters most is that you're ready to downsize, and we're here to help make that process a little bit more stress-free. And it is a process, and it's hard. It's hard, and I feel for them, and I recognize it. But everybody needs help with it at one point or another, whether if you wait for a move or you just want your house nice and tidy for guests. It's a process that we want to help go through with you with no judgment.
It's a great service to clients or anyone who's listening to this podcast that is thinking about a move, or, they have inherited a home that they just don't know what to do. Where does the conversation start? How does that all kind of get the ball rolling? What do you recommend to those people that are listening today?
Well, don't be ashamed to ask for help. Don't it's not impossible, but if you're working on a time frame and you need to clear out a house that you want to put on the market and sell, it is difficult for one person to do. It's difficult sometimes for families to work together and agree on certain things. It's emotional, and it's very much time consuming, especially if you don't have your ducks all in a row. If you don't live in town, you don't know the disposal guys in town. You don't know who the local disposal bins are. You don't know if there's antique dealers around the corner. So much time is spent gathering the information when I'm a phone call away and have all the information.
You have it all. You're like the one-stop shop for
Right.
downsizing. That's amazing. Well, I have so much appreciated having this conversation with you. I know that the audience is going to find so much value. And I have to be honest, I had a few aha moments today. I'm like, wow, I didn't
Oh, good.
realize that you had such a wealth of connections and collaborations and contacts that you can leverage during this process. But what I did know is the amount of empathy and patience that's required. So wanted to thank you so much for the time today, Lisa. Where can people find you? Give it a plug, share your website, your phone number. How do people reach you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. My webpage is downsizingdiva.com. And my phone number is 416-818-8249. And email as well.
I'll have all that information down below in the description. Again, thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
We really appreciate having you today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Have any questions or want to recommend a future guest for a show? Leave a comment or send me a DM. And if you're ready to take the next step in your real estate journey, schedule a call using the link in the description. Make sure to follow my channel so you never miss an episode. And if you found this helpful, leave a comment. It helps others find us. Thanks so much. That's a wrap. See you next time.